Today was my 24th birthday, and also the 3rd anniversary of my relationship with Leo. To prepare for this special day, I had used every penny of my meager savings from working 3 shifts a day to buy him the watch he had always dreamed of. I stood in front of the door to the luxury apartment Leo rented, clutching the gift box, my heart pounding with excitement. I wanted to tell him that I had been promoted, that our future would be a little less of a struggle. But when the door opened, the smile on my lips froze. Leo didn't open the door. Standing there was a strange girl, wearing Leo's oversized shirt, the very shirt I had hand-ironed for him this morning. She looked me up and down with disdainful eyes, then turned her head to call inside. "Leo, the shipper is here. Did you order something?" Leo walked out, holding a glass of wine, his face flushed. When he saw me, he wasn't panicked at all. Instead, he looked annoyed, as if he were looking at a housefly. "Ivy, what are you doing here without calling? You ruined the mood." "Who is she?" My voice trembled, my hands gripping the gift box tight. "Let me introduce you. This is Sarah, my new girlfriend, and she happens to be the daughter of the chairman of the city's largest construction corporation." Leo wrapped his arm around the girl's waist, his tone full of pride. "Ivy, let's break up. Look at yourself, poor as dirt. You work like a slave for a whole month and can't even afford one of Sarah's breakfasts. Being with you, I see no future. I need someone who can elevate my career, not a burden." "A burden?" I laughed through my tears. "Leo, for the past 3 years, who paid your rent, who stayed up all night doing your graduation thesis. And now you call me a burden." "Enough," Sarah screamed, snatching the gift box from my hands and throwing it straight into the hallway. The watch flew out, the glass face shattering into pieces. "You think you can give him this cheap trash? Get lost before I call security." The door slammed in my face. I stood there, looking at the broken shards at my feet, feeling my heart shatter just the same. The sky began to pour, a torrential summer rain that seemed to want to drown the entire city. I wandered the deserted streets, soaked, freezing, and hopeless. I had no home to return to, no money, and my dignity had been trampled into the mud. I walked and walked until I was exhausted, collapsing at a dilapidated bus stop on the outskirts of town. Just then, a luxurious black car sped past, then suddenly lost control and crashed into a lamppost a few meters away from me. Smoke billowed out instantly. Instinct told me to run, but my conscience wouldn't allow it. I rushed toward the car. Inside the driver's seat, the chauffeur was unconscious. In the back seat was a middle-aged man, his forehead bleeding, clutching his left chest in intense pain. Even in critical condition, his eyes still radiated an authority and sharpness that was terrifying. "Help, medicine, jacket pocket," he wheezed. Trembling, I fumbled for the heart medication in his blood-soaked suit pocket and quickly fed it to him. Then, using my last bit of strength, I dragged him out of the car just as it began to catch fire. We tumbled onto the roadside grass just as the vehicle exploded. The shockwave knocked me out. The last thing I remembered was the deep gaze of that man staring at me, as if he wanted to carve my face into his memory. When I woke up, I found myself lying on a bed as soft as a cloud, in a VIP hospital room larger than the entire house I used to rent. A man in a black suit stood solemnly by the bed. Seeing me open my eyes, he bowed respectfully. "Ms. Ivy, you're awake. Our boss wishes to see you." I was led to another room. The man I saved last night was sitting in an armchair, holding a file. Though his head was bandaged, his aura still overwhelmed anyone facing him. He looked at me, his eyes no longer filled with pain but with a calm, calculating scrutiny. "I am Victor Sterling. Thank you for saving my life last night." His voice was deep and warm, echoing with experience. Sterling, Victor Sterling. My jaw dropped. That was the legendary tycoon of the financial world, the man who held the economic lifeline of this entire city. I just did what I had to do," I whispered. Victor placed the file on the table. I don't like owing anyone. I had you investigated. Ivy, 24 years old, just dumped by her boyfriend for being poor, currently unemployed and homeless. Correct. The naked truth in his words made my face burn with shame. Yes, but I don't need your pity. I don't offer pity, I want to propose a transaction. Victor stood up, walking closer to me. He was taller than I thought, his shadow engulfing me. My family is pressuring me to remarry to consolidate power, but I am sick of the gold-digging women out there. I need a shield. A nominal wife, obedient, clean, and trouble-free. You saved me, which proves your character isn't bad. Be my wife. Be your wife. I was so shocked I stuttered. But you are older than my father. Victor smirked, a smile that made the wrinkles at the corners of his eyes strangely attractive. So what if I'm old? I have money, I have power. I can give you everything that stupid ex-boyfriend couldn't. Don't you want revenge? Don't you want to stand on high and look down on those who trampled you? His words poured into my ears like magic. The image of Leo and Sarah mocking me, their looks of contempt, appeared vividly. Yes, I wanted revenge. I wanted them to regret everything. I agree. I looked straight into Victor's eyes. But I have a condition. I want to continue my studies and work. I don't want to be a trophy wife. Agreed. Victor nodded with satisfaction. From now on, you are Mrs. Sterling. No one is allowed to bully you ever again. My life changed overnight. Victor kept his promise. He brought me to the Sterling mansion, hired top stylists to transform my appearance, and arranged for me to work at the corporate headquarters as his private secretary for training. Although we were a contract couple, Victor treated me with extreme respect and pampering. He taught me how to read people, how to handle business, and how to appreciate luxury. With him, I felt protected and safe, a feeling Leo had never given me. Gradually, I realized Victor wasn't as scary as the rumors. Behind that cold exterior was a lonely and warm heart. 1 month later, the day of the Sterling family's periodic gathering arrived. Victor told me, "Today, I will officially introduce you to the family. Prepare yourself. There will be a good show." I wore a jet black evening gown and a set of diamond jewelry worth a fortune that Victor had given me, linking arms with him as we walked into the mansion's grand hall. An atmosphere of luxury and nobility filled the air. But the moment we stepped in, a familiar voice rang out, shrill and full of shock. "Ivy, why are you here? Did you sneak in to steal something?" Leo and Sarah were standing in the middle of the living room. Leo looked at me, his eyes bulging as if they were about to fall out. He couldn't believe the gorgeous, haughty girl in front of him was the poor ex-girlfriend he had just dumped. Sarah turned pale too, but tried to act aggressive. "Security, why did you let this beggar in here? Throw her out immediately." The entire room went silent as Victor tapped his cane lightly on the marble floor. The sound wasn't loud, but it was enough to make everyone hold their breath. He slowly wrapped his arm around my waist, pulling me close, then looked straight at Leo with icy eyes. "Leo, who did you just call a beggar?" Leo trembled, stammering, "Dad, do you know her? She's my ex-girlfriend, the country bumpkin I told you about." "Shut your mouth," Victor shouted, the force of his voice making Leo drop to his knees. "Open your eyes and look. This is Ivy, my lawful wife, and from this moment on, she is your stepmother." Stepmother," Leo screamed, his face drained of blood. He looked at me, then at Victor, utter panic and fear written all over his face. I smiled gently, a smile I had practiced 100 times in the mirror. I stepped forward and adjusted Leo's collar, an action I used to do often, but now it dripped with sarcasm. "Hello, good son. We met in such a rush last time. Mom didn't have a chance to give you a greeting gift. I heard you and Sarah are getting married. Let me consider if the Sterling family betrothal gifts should be given to such an insolent daughter-in-law." Sarah stood by trembling like a leaf. She knew exactly how terrifying Victor Sterling was. If I was Victor's wife, a mere wave of my hand could destroy her family. Ivy, no, Aunt Ivy, Sarah stammered, trying to force a distorted smile. I apologize for the other day. It was just a misunderstanding. Misunderstanding? I raised an eyebrow. I recall you calling me trash. Why are you calling me auntie so sweetly now? Victor stood by, watching the scene with satisfaction. He spoke up. All right, Ivy, don't stoop to the level of children. Leo, Sarah, apologize to your stepmother properly and then get out of my sight. I don't want my wife's mood affected tonight. Leo grit his teeth, his face red with humiliation. He had to bow his head to the girl he once despised. I apologize, Aunt Ivy. A sense of vindication spread through every cell in my body. But I knew this was just the beginning. Living under the same roof with Leo and Sarah would be a real war. After that day, Leo and Sarah moved into the main mansion on Victor's orders to learn manners. The Sterling mansion was huge, but the tension was always high. Leo wasn't resigned. He didn't believe I loved Victor. He thought I was just digging for gold and seeking revenge on him. He constantly tried to approach me when Victor was away. Once, he cornered me in a secluded hallway, pinning me against the wall. Ivy, you're acting, right? How could you love that old man? He's old enough to be your father. You're doing this to spite me, aren't you? I know you still love me. I pushed him away, brushing off my sleeve with disgust. Leo, stop hallucinating. In my eyes now, you are just a cowardly man. Victor may be older, but he is a true man, 10,000 times the man you are. You, Leo raised his hand to slap me. But before his hand could touch my face, it was blocked by another solid hand. Victor appeared like a ghost. He twisted Leo's arm behind his back, making him yelp in pain. How did I warn you? Never touch my woman. Victor shoved Leo to the floor. He turned to me, his eyes full of worry. Are you okay? I shook my head, nestling into his chest. The scent of sandalwood on him made me feel incredibly reassured. I'm fine, but I'm scared. Scared Leo will hurt you. He doesn't have the guts. Victor held me tight, kissing my hair. In that moment, I realized my heart was racing. Not because of the act, but because this man had truly taken a place in my heart. The age gap didn't seem to matter anymore. It wasn't just Leo. Sarah didn't sit still either. Jealous of my position, she started spreading rumors in high society that I used black magic to enchant Victor, or that I was secretly having affairs with young men. The climax was when she secretly slipped a stranger's men's watch into my handbag and accused me of stealing from a guest at a charity gala. In front of countless guests, Sarah pointed at my bag. Aunt Ivy, I saw you sneak something into your bag. I didn't expect the Mrs. Sterling to still keep the thieving habits of a poor person. People whispered. Victor looked at me, then at the watch pulled from my bag. Sarah smirked inwardly. But Victor just chuckled. He picked up the watch, examined it for a moment, and tossed it into the trash can. Grade A fake. My wife wears diamond jewelry worth millions. Do you think she craves stealing this fake watch? Sarah, if you want to frame someone, use your brain. He clapped his hands, and the large screen on stage displayed security footage of Sarah herself, sneaking the watch into my bag in the dressing room. Ms. Sarah, Victor said, his voice icy, the Sterling house does not tolerate deceitful people. The engagement between you and Leo is canceled, and tell your father to prepare for his corporation to be acquired. Sarah collapsed on the floor weeping. Leo stood by, daring not to make a sound. He knew he had lost everything, a rich wife, his father's support, and his dignity. But the real storm hadn't passed. Cornered, Leo hatched a crazy idea. He colluded with Victor's business rival, planning to kidnap me to blackmail Victor into handing over control of the corporation. One afternoon, while I was on my way to the spa, my car was blocked by a group of thugs. I was dragged out, blindfolded, and taken to an abandoned warehouse at the port. When the blindfold was removed, I saw Leo sitting there, holding a knife, his eyes wild. "Hello, stepmother," Leo laughed maniacally. "Let's see if my beloved father dares to trade his entire fortune to save you." I was terrified but tried to stay calm. "Leo, you're insane. Victor won't let you get away with this." "I have nothing left to lose. It's all your fault," he screamed, pressing the knife to my neck. Just then, the warehouse door was kicked open. Victor walked in alone, no bodyguards as per Leo's demand. He looked 10 years older, his eyes full of anxiety when he saw the knife at my throat. "Let her go, Leo. Assets, shares, I signed the transfer papers for everything to you. Don't hurt her." Victor threw a file onto the ground. I screamed, "Victor, don't give it to him. He'll kill us both." Leo laughed hysterically, bending down to pick up the file. Taking advantage of the distraction, Victor lunged forward. But Leo was faster. He swung the knife. Victor didn't dodge. He used his body to take the stab for me. Crimson blood stained his white shirt instantly. "No!" I screamed, a heart-wrenching sound, rushing to catch Victor. The police burst in immediately after. Leo was arrested on the spot, howling like a wounded animal. But I didn't care about him anymore. In my eyes, there was only Victor fading away. "Victor, don't sleep. Please don't sleep." I sobbed, my trembling hands trying to stop the bleeding. Victor opened his eyes weakly, reaching up to wipe my tears. "Don't cry, Ivy, as long as you're safe. The contract. Consider it fulfilled." "I don't need the contract. I need you. I love you, Victor. Do you hear me? I love you." Victor smiled contentedly, then passed out. 3 months later. In the rose-filled garden of the Sterling mansion, I was pushing Victor in his wheelchair. He was out of critical condition, but his health still needed time to recover. Leo had been sentenced to life in prison for kidnapping and attempted murder. Sarah's family went bankrupt. She was working as a waitress to make ends meet. Victor took my hand, kissing it gently. "Ivy, do you regret it, marrying a disabled old man like me?" I leaned down, kissed his forehead, and whispered a secret in his ear. "I don't regret it, but you have to get well soon. The doctor said I'm 2 months pregnant. You're about to be a father to a baby, hubby." Victor froze, his eyes lighting up with immense happiness. He pulled me into his arms, holding me tight as if afraid I would disappear. "Thank you, Ivy. Thank you for coming into my life." In the end, I realized love distinguishes no age, status, or circumstance. It simply means finding someone willing to sacrifice their life for you, and you being willing to spend your whole life loving them. From an abandoned girl, I became the happiest woman in the world, beside the most wonderful man, the man who was once almost my father-in-law.